Probably the biggest one right now would be what's going on with LeBron James and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Before we get into everything, let's hear what Zlatan had to say about LeBron.
Yeah. I liked a lot, and I mean, he's a phenomenal in what he's doing. But I don't like when people, when they have some kind of status and they go in and they do politics at the same time what they're doing. I mean, do what you're good at. Do the category you do. I play football because I'm the best in playing football. I don't do politics. If I would be a politician, I would do politics. That is the first mistake people do when they become famous and they come in a certain status. Stay out of it. Just do what you're best at because it doesn't look good.
So that's what soccer star Zlatan Ibrahimovic had to say about LeBron James and just politics in general. Caleb, did you get a chance to hear what LeBron said back?
I think I heard he said something like he's very educated on the topic and maybe he can be quiet if he wants or something like that. It was something where he kind of just deflected it back off him.
Yeah, let's hear what LeBron had to say real quick.
At the end of the day, I would never shut up about things that's wrong. I preach about my people, and I preach about equality, social injustice, racism, systematic voting, voter suppression, things that go on in our community. Because I was a part of my community at one point and seeing the things that was going on, and I know what's going on still because I have a group of 300 plus kids at my school that's going through the same thing, and they need a voice. And I'm their voice. I'm their voice, and I use my platform to continue to shed light on everything that may be going on, not only in my community but around this country and around the world. So, if there's no reason, well, no, I won't say no reason, but there's no way I will ever just stick to sports because I understand how this platform and how powerful my voice is. And he can just ask Renee Montgomery, if I would have shut up and just dribbled. Seeing that beautiful Black woman today, be a part of a group where she's part of an ownership group now with the Atlanta Dream down in Atlanta. And it's funny he say that because I believe in like 2018, he was the same guy who said when he was back in Sweden, talking about the same things because his last name wasn't a certain last name that he felt like it was some racism going on when he was out on the pitch. Right? He did say that, right? Yeah. I thought he said that. So I speak from a very educated mind. I'm kind of the wrong guy to actually go at because I do my homework.
Well, first of all, Caleb, what were your thoughts on what Zlatan said as far as LeBron should just kind of and big athletes with such big platforms should stick to what they know best and not really dive into politics. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, well, here's my thoughts on that. Politics are obviously, it's like a feeling out thing, right? Like there's no like 100% right way about politics, right? Like it's kind of just how you feel. So to say that, leave it to people that know what they're talking about. Well, politics is kind of like everybody knows what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like you're free to your own opinion. That's an opinionated field. But like the stuff LeBron's talking about, I don't really know if it's politics. You know what I mean? Like racial equality and stuff like that. Like I don't really think that that's really much politics. So I don't know why he's saying stay out of politics. But I don't think athletes should have to stick away from something because anybody should have a voice on politics, right? Like that's why we vote. Everybody has a say on it. So I don't think that athletes need to really stick out of it. But I do think that LeBron kind of, it's hard to say. He kind of like just talks what he wants to talk about and ignores some stuff. And I'm trying not to bring up the obvious here, but the China thing, he kind of just turned a blind eye to that and was like, I don't know what they're talking about. And his excuse would be, well, I wasn't educated on that or something. But it's like something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe educate yourself a little bit on it. But I don't think athletes should have to stick away from something, especially like that.
I see your point, and you brought up something about the whole China situation. Like, just to quickly brief over it, for those of you that don't know the situation, pretty much a piece of legislation introduced over the summer, this past summer of 2020, I believe this was in 2019. And pretty much what happened was that they were allowed to take criminals from Hong Kong back to China to extradite them, in which those criminal trials were like super, brutal, and they were being targeted unfairly. And Daryl Morey decided to tweet about that and said, "Free Hong Kong." That ended up being a huge thing with the NBA. The NBA lost a ton of money. LeBron obviously spoke up about it. LeBron was saying that that wasn't the right time and the right situation. He said that Daryl Morey should have educated himself because LeBron felt uncomfortable since he was in China at the time, right? And he was like, "You're putting us in danger, the players in danger," which is fair. But at the same time, here's what frustrates me with LeBron. This whole time, when he's wanting to cover, everything that's been going on, and I love the way LeBron decides to be an activist about specific things, but then I also don't appreciate the way that when it comes to other stuff, you don't hear any mention of LeBron. Like LeBron didn't mention Hong Kong. He even afterwards he said, "Well, I'm not defending that point." He's like, "I'm not saying that I disagree with Daryl Morey. I'm just saying that it wasn't the right time." Which, again, this is very deep, I guess, because at the same time, it's like it's a very hard situation. But my frustration with LeBron is he's so worried about capitalism at the end of the day, right? Because it's like, how come he doesn't mention the slave labor in China? Well, oh, that's a good, why? Because Nike's shoe sales in China have been doubling in the last 5 years, and they have over 145,000 workers, like slave workers in China, and who's stitching those number 23 jerseys? Like, at the end of the day, I wish LeBron spoke out about more stuff and wasn't just particular with what he cares about. You know what I mean with that?
Like if it directly affects him negatively, he just kind of stays out of the way. Like the whole sales thing, like he's gonna lose money if he opens up about that, and it sucks. But at the same time, like I don't know, it's just I'm not gonna be mad at him for being an activist about something and not the other, because at the end of the day, he's bringing light to an issue that needs looked at. So he's doing good, but that one thing just really, I think, rubs people the wrong way, and I don't think there's anybody that shouldn't be upset with that a little bit.
That's fine, Caleb. But here's my thing: do you not find it hypocritical, for example, when we just saw what happened with Jeremy Lin? Jeremy Lin got
Mm-hmm.
called coronavirus, and he said, "I'm a 9-year vet in the NBA, and people in the G League are calling
Yeah,
me."
what G Leaguer do you think opened his mouth and called him that? Because like I'm very curious what G Leaguer would have done something like that.
It's got to be a young G League player. I'm guessing one of those guys that went undrafted, and he's one of those younger players, because you got to imagine there's no way a player from overseas like an Amir Johnson type of guy is
Yeah,
going to say that to Jeremy Lin. That's
yeah,
that's crossing a major line.
yeah. It's like nobody from overseas, like no European players are going to call him that. I don't even know if there is that many European players in the G League. To be honest, he probably would have just stayed overseas. It's not going to be a veteran. It's not going to be a guy who's even played 2 years. It has to be an undrafted guy from the past 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think regardless whoever did it, it was wrong. I
Mm-hmm.
just wish LeBron would be more vocal about that, because we've seen
Did he
it
even
right
talk
now with.
about that?
He hasn't, and that's my thing. It's we see right now with so much, because of COVID, so much hate towards Asian Americans and Asians, and this is a perfect situation. You have a former player, one of your, at the end of the day, they talk about it. The NBA is a fraternity, right? They're all brothers. Jeremy Lin's still part of that fraternity. You can't leave him out in the cold. LeBron should be speaking up. I'm not saying it's on solely just on LeBron. Just saying that when he does speak on certain things, and then when situations like this comes up, I'm not saying I expect LeBron to speak up on everything, but then it's just hypocritical when in certain situations he chooses, "Oh, I'm not going to speak up on it because it doesn't directly affect me." But well, it's like, well, at the end of the day, if you want people to help one another, if you want to push things forward with whatever your choice of activism is, you want the same for other people. Other people want you to do the same for them. If you want someone to care about you, you got to care about them. So at the end of the day, it's just frustrating to kind of see where LeBron stands
Yeah.
on this. And as far as he tries too much, I feel like, to act like an act, and that's fine if he's an activist, but he tries too much to kind of put himself out there. But then when in situations like this come up, you don't hear from him at all.
Mm-hmm. It
So
is. It's embarrassing.
it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I will say that you're not going to expect LeBron to speak up on everything, and he won't. He's not going to change. We've seen it. LeBron is who he is, and he's still done a lot of good stuff. Like I said, I respect him for what he did with the I Promise School. you know, and now you see a lot of NBA players are starting to open up schools. So that's something that I think has been really good. And one thing that LeBron has done is he's been an influence around the NBA.